He proposed for marriage. She refused his request, and the sick person only took revenge, sneaked into her house while she was sleeping and emptied the acid flask on her face and body and burned her. 16-year-old Mariam is a beautiful girl, full of hope and love of life and art. She is a student at the Institute of Fine Arts in Baghdad. Her fate took her to that day when she was a reassuring sleeper in her home after her parents left for work. It was not born in mind that a sick person would do such a thing, to take revenge on this angel in this way. An incident that shook the Iraqi street, especially Baghdadi, did not become public until 7 months later, where the news came out on social media. When Miriam suffered a lot in her treatment of burns and distortions, so the public and social media rose up and called her Princess Miriam and also launched a hashtag Save the Princess Mariam. Also a campaign started to support her with fundraisers to send her outside Iraq on a therapeutic trip, a trip that will go on for a while, and no one knows how the results will be, and if Princess Miriam will regain her beauty. Acid spraying. Assault is a type of violent assault in which the aggressor throws an incendiary acid at the victim with the aim of permanently distorting, torturing, or killing it in order to avenge the victim. If she refuses to marry the aggressor, sulfuric acids, nitric or hydrochloric are often used, which is the least harmful. These sour substances cause severe skin burns and permanent facial and body abnormalities, may reach and dissolve bones, and can also lead to blindness and death and subsequent far-reaching consequences, including social, psychological, and economic difficulties. This phenomenon is spreading in South Asia, Cambodia, Afghanistan, India, Pakistan, Iran, and some neighboring Arab countries. Bangladesh is the country with the highest infection rate. In Bangladesh alone, there were about 3,512 acid dumping incidents. Between 1999 and 2013, women account for 80% of the victims' acid attack crimes are committed due to the cheap price of the acid and its ease of obtaining it, with the price per liter being 15 taka, or only 26 cents, along with weak rule of law, political corruption, and gender inequality. A volunteering organization, VOS, in Bangladesh has documented stories of a number of victims of the acid attack. There is Onima, whose husband poured car battery acid on her genitals for refusing to sell herself to those who want forbidden pleasure. Ganga, who got married at the age of 12 and divorced a year later, was assaulted with acid by her ex-husband to prevent her from pairing with a new husband. Khadija says she, with her husband and newborn baby, were the victim of a similar attack. Many deformants live in isolation and are unwilling and are denied participation in social events, so the psychological impact follows and is not less than the physical impact. The absence of law and the lack of accountability for the perpetrators has a great impact on the increase and spread of the phenomenon. As long as the perpetrator escapes punishment and remains free, while the victim remains his prisoner in all pain. Civil society organizations are doing their work to raise awareness and reduce this phenomenon and demand that the punishment be increased and not released by the perpetrator. Many organizations have also taken initiatives to help the physically and psychologically affected women. The high costs of surgeries needed by these women are not known to everyone. At the government level, many countries have begun pushing for legislation to reduce acid attacks, which some have recently tried to use to combat this crime under the Pasteur Islands law in Pakistan. The criminal suffers from the same fate as the victim and may also be punished by putting drops of acid in their eyes. This law is non-binding and rarely applies. According to a New York Times report, Pakistan's House of Representatives unanimously passed the Acid Control and Acid Crime Prevention Bill on May 10, 2011. The penalty, according to the bill, individuals responsible for acid attacks face severe fines and face life in prison. However, the country with the most specific and effective legislation against acid attacks is Bangladesh, and this legal action has led to a steady reduction in acid violence of between 20 and 30% over the past few years. India introduced an amendment in 2013 to the Indian Penal Code through the Criminal Code Amendment Act 2013, making acid attacks a specific offense with a minimum penalty of 10 years in prison and can extend to life imprisonment and a fine.